Gents, to another episode of the Three-Man Weave, Field of 68 Best Bets crossover show, sponsored by Field of 68 and sponsored at the top by our fine folks at BetRivers. Make sure to like and subscribe. We're going to offer, hopefully, some winners today. Have not been doing so recently, but I'm Matt. The other guy is Shim. The other guy is Kai. And we're just kind of soul searching right now, aren't we, gents? And I think I'm the one to blame. I put responsibility on my plate. Kai, I point the finger at myself. Yeah. I have to be better. I will be better. And the people, the mobsters, the loyal listeners deserve better. So they will get it.
That's fair. I blame you too, Matthew. And apology accepted. I think we're going to turn it around today. You know, tough little skid for the best bets. It's all good, guys. Yesterday, how about Marquette?
Yeah, what'd you learn?
How about Marquette? And University is what I'm talking about, Matthew. 7 straight wins in the Big East. They look very, very good. They're heading for like a top 5 seed in the tournament. This is crazy. Jim, Shaka Smart. Wow. Holy cow.
They're on a complete tear. We saw it early in the season. We're like, okay, maybe they're solid. Then they went on that little swoon to start Big East play. And now here they are. It's pretty impressive. Matt, I just wanted to comment on the big bet or best bet futility. I'm never insulted to people who are like, I don't want to follow you. I want to fade you. Like, that's fine. That's totally fine. I think the show is far more about the information. I hope that is what people find the value in, and I think it is. But it's no fun. It's no fun going through these, whether you make light of it, whether you say we're going to get back at it, minor setback for major comeback, whatever it is. They suck. It's not fun, but we're going to keep providing as much info as we possibly can. That's what we're here for.
A crowd erupts in applause. Yeah, well, Jim, again, Jim. We say we teach you to fish. We're not here to fish for you. So that's what we're going to do. That said, speaking of fish,
that the other side. If our explanation sucks, but the other side, yeah.
The idea of fading someone is actually a pretty funny idea. I like that. Maybe I'll try that sometime. Hey, so speaking of fish, I have decided that if we are not profitable today and tomorrow, I will be, in fact, eating a snail live on the air for the Saturday program that was just decided pre-show. Big development here on Field 68. Make sure to tune in Saturday. It's kind of a win-win for you guys. If we win, you win. If we lose and you lose, well, you win on Saturday by getting to watch me potentially hurl on camera. So we'll see how that goes.
Snails are fish, huh?
They're in the fish family, kind of, right? Aquatic type things. Okay, we're not going to litigate this right now. Let's talk games. And because I am host today, I hijack the outline with a bevy of Big Ten matchups, but we will slowly transition to the West Coast. A lot of good Mountain West and Pac-12 and WCC games later in the slate tonight. But starting us off here, Jim, Iowa hosting Purdue. I think this is probably the best game on tap tonight. A rematch of an earlier meeting between these two, which Purdue smacked around the Hawkeyes at Mackey, but that game was played without Keegan Murray, who potentially poses huge matchup problems for Purdue's plotting bigs. Key development here is obviously Jaden Ivey has been cleared to go tonight. So with all that under consideration, what are you looking at?
Well, Matt, I watched this entire first game and was relatively impressed with Purdue. Even without Keegan Murray, they got up 19. It was kind of a fluky comeback. Iowa went full court pressure, and Purdue was just like, wait, you do this? Wait, this isn't something we prepared for. So I think they'll be a little more ready for it if Iowa throws that wrinkle out. What I did do, Kai, as I wrote up my preview for the Action Network on this game, I watched every Purdue post-up from that game because Iowa held Travion Williams and Zach Edey to their second lowest combined total the entire season. Only Matt's Hoosiers held them to a lower combined total. And basically, every time that Edey or Williams got a catch, they made sure they caught it way off the block. Like it wasn't a quick catch and turn and score. And the second they put the ball down, they doubled hard. They were just like, we dare you to beat us with passing. That's obviously not Edey's strength, but even Williams threw like 3 into the crowd that game. Like
he's thrown really a lot of errant passes recently. Yeah, a lot of errant passes.
He tries to be very fancy, and he has a lot of highlight reel passes, but sometimes they're bad. So I was impressed with with Iowa's game plan there, and with Keegan Murray back in, Matt playing him and Chris together is really going to stretch out the floor for this Purdue team. Yeah. I think that's a problem. And defensively, if they keep up that tactic, they're not going to get like pounded one-on-one by those guys inside. So right. I kind of like Iowa in the revenge spot here. Slight home dog, Kai. I lean towards the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, the home road splits scares me a little bit. Iowa 8-4 against the spread at home, Purdue 1-3 against the spread. They're different teams a little bit in these situations. But Jim, I think there's going to be a ton of points. You mentioned Iowa did well against Williams and Edey. I'm not sure they can shut them down quite the same in this game. They certainly had no answer for Ivy, who I believe is playing in this one. No matchup for him. And Purdue can't match up with Keegan Murray. He missed the first game, obviously. The total has been bet down, though, about 3 or 4 points, which surprised me. I think it's an overreaction to this last game, which went to 147 points. But Matt, it played to 76 possessions, and arguably the best player on the floor, Keegan Murray, you can argue that, was not in the game. Iowa shot poorly. So I think points are going to come easily and often in this game, and I lean the over.
Yeah, Iowa couldn't hit threes, and I think the teams missed something like 20 combined free throws. Like they couldn't shoot from the line either, and it still had 147. Like I think I'm with Kai. I lean against the market there.
That was my angle as well. But Jim, I think you mentioned this because of Iowa's pressure. Did that maybe inflate the pace inorganically, I guess, in that first matchup because Iowa was down so big and they had to come back? Like, I wonder if we just saw a truer, closer game, would it have maybe sped up second half?
Potentially, there wasn't like late foul game stuff though, so it wasn't like there were 6
it wasn't like BS minute. Nonsense. Gotcha. Yeah. And also, Iowa should probably consider doing that again in this matchup, right? Like, especially if Ivy's not 100%. I mean, you can pressure Purdue's non-Ivy guards, I think.
Yeah. The one other thing I would add too is that both these teams are coming off playing like really slow Big Ten teams, like Penn State, Rutgers, grind out Minnesota. I think they're going to be excited to have a willing dance partner to get up and down the court. So I lean towards the over.
All right, next up here on our Big Ten early segment, or early part of the slate here, Kai, we're going to Minnesota. Your Gophers, the barn, where they will take on Ohio State. I just don't know who's going to play for Minnesota tonight, Kai.
Yep.
That's the story here. But somehow they got a superhero performance from Peyton Willis last time out. We've seen a couple of these random, like, how the hell are these teams winning when they don't actually have players? We can talk about the whole UT Arlington debacle at a later date. My goodness, that's a whole separate discussion. But Kai, Eric Curry, Jamison Battle with his illness. I'm looking at the roster, the injury report right now. And this team basically has 4 players right now. So is there any chance they compete again?
Well, yeah, personnel, Curry, Stevens, Elijah Stevens, the other guy that missed, Jamison Battle, they all missed last game. So Trayton Thompson, Luke Lowy, and Peyton Willis played 40 minutes against Rutgers last game, and they shot 13 for 24 from 3. That's how they beat Rutgers. They were unconscious. They allowed 1.18 points per possession. They couldn't stop Rutgers whatsoever. If those guys are out again, Ohio State is going to run them out of the gym, in my opinion. I respect the barn. I respect home court, but you're not going to stop Ohio State. I don't think you're going to get another 13 for 24 3-point shooting performance without those guys. If they're in, Minnesota has a fighting chance at home. 6.5 seems a little bit short. So I'm probably leaning Ohio State either way. Would definitely take them if these guys were announced out.
Yeah, the Trayton Thompson thing is wild because he played 26 minutes the entire season before playing all 40 in that game. Like, he was a nobody. He was not a part of the rotation at all. And then he held up fairly well in 40 minutes against the Rutgers front line. Yeah. I kind of think we get a "did you forget about me" game from EJ Liddell. Ohio State hasn't played in like 10 days, and their last game was against IUPUI. Like, that's not even that doesn't matter.
Yes. All right.
So I think Liddell has a big one here. Minnesota doesn't have great matchups for him. They don't have like the versatile forward physical guy that can stick with him inside and out. So either they're doubling or he goes off. And I think either way, we are impressed with Liddell after this one. I'm leaning towards the road favorite, especially with the roster limitations on Minnesota, but I'm not betting this game with Ice.
Yeah, so the official report, Stevens is most likely to play. He's coming off an illness, and then Battles at a game time decision. And Curry, high ankle sprain. Those are always dicey. I got to think he's out. Man, he's huge. If you can't get Curry back in this game against Liddell and that size up front, that could be a disaster. Ben Johnson can slow the game down. He can throw some smoke and mirrors, and clearly they pulled the rabbit out of their ass last game. And Willis,
he's a good coach.
He's a good coach. He is. So I think all that actually culminates in a pretty good under bet. It's been bet down pretty heavily, though. It's down to 134 from the 138 opener. So you've lost some value there, but I certainly think Johnson wants to make this as slow as possible, given his limitations there. All right. Last game of our Big Ten trifecta. We're going to talk Jimmy's Buzzcut Badgers, as I call them. Wisconsin headed out to the western part of the Midwest, the western tip of the Big Ten geography realm. They go to Nebraska. Husker hoops. Jim, I'm kind of torn on this whole Nebraska team right now, man. I know they have some, they're coming off a COVID pause. They have some injury issues as well, but they did get the elder McGowans back last game. So now they have both McGowan's boys in the saddle. they can be feisty at home. I think you look at the results in conference play, there's a big chasm between road Nebraska and home Nebraska. And now they're at home. The question is, can they stop Wisconsin, who I guess may or may not be without Tyler Wall up front?
Yeah, the Journal Sentinel write-up implied heavily that he will be out. Like, it was like, okay, he's out indefinitely. Ben Carlson likely starting. Matt, it's not even your opinion. The on-off numbers would like to support you.
Oh, objectivity. I like this.
Per Hoop Data Explorer, adjusted for competition, Wisconsin is plus 27 per 100 with Wall on the court. They're dead even, 0 with him, or without him, excuse me. Like, that is
so
as
they're
big
average
a swing
without
as you'll find. Yeah, they're just like a trade buckets with you team without him. He's vital. He's a terrific defender. He's their second leading scorer. He's a great post-up option when you start to focus too heavily on Davis. I'm leaning towards Nebraska here. I probably bet them small at that 7.5. It's really not exciting to be on Nebraska, but like you mentioned, Matt, they are a little bit better at home. And I just think if Wall's not out there, this Wisconsin team's not the same. So maybe I lose because Johnny Davis goes for 35, Kai, but I guess I have to take that risk.
Yeah, Wall's huge. Definitely matters for them. Nebraska has covered 3 Big Ten home games. They're not totally helpless, Matt. You kind of alluded to it, but they're 0-8 in league play. They're clearly a notch below everyone else in this league. And this spread feels just a little bit short for me to take Nebraska. They have the worst defense and offense in the conference in Big Ten play. Perhaps, Matt, the Elder McGowan's, Mr. Trey, his presence gives him more of a knockout punch chance. They're going to get one of these games. They're going to beat one of the big wigs in the Big Ten once or twice, I think, this season. Maybe this is it. Maybe you get a kind of what am I trying to say here? A vulnerable, there we go, Wisconsin team without Wall. Maybe you punch them out here with Nebraska with Trey McGowan's back. Still a little bit low for me to take.
Yeah, remember last year after their COVID pause, Nebraska was like weirdly feisty. They played a bunch of games, game after game after game, and they were just hanging around. So maybe they can do that again this year.
I do wonder if the COVID pauses later in the season, like around like this middle of the early conference, middle of conference play, acts more as a reset, recharge than a disruption mechanism that I think it plays out early in the season. I mean, it's all anecdotal, it's all case by case, but I kind of tend to agree with you guys. I think Nebraska comes out with a pretty good effort tonight. The question is it good enough to beat Wisconsin, who's been red hot? Team that's owned Nebraska historically, I believe. Jim, you probably have a better reference of the historical matchup precedents there, but it seems like the Badgers always take care of business against the Huskers.
Yeah, I don't have it on me, unfortunately. Someone asked about the total. Wonka Dog said 144 seems high. I mean, Wisconsin has been an over team. It's weird. They're playing a little faster. They're hitting shots. It's been tough to take unders against Wisconsin, but without Wall, I guess I sort of am with the market there.
Yeah, no opinion for me. All right, hey, last game before we get to chat mob. We're going out west. San Francisco hosting St. Mary's. One of these teams near and dear to our heart, the Dons, Jimmy, they needed a big old tourney boosting win against BYU last week. Did not get it. We're up late in that game, blew it. This is kind of like a reset deja vu type of situation where they need this game so badly. They are running out of opportunities to get those wins to solidify their place in the at-large field. But St. Mary's in the same boat. I think they're both sitting around the 9-10 seed line. My thing is the price is a little steep. San Francisco laying 3.5 to a team that's coming from just across the Bay Area feels a little bit high to me.
I think it's down to 2.5.
2.5.
It's been bet down now. Okay.
It's under the field goal, which makes me sort of consider the Dons.
Yeah.
Situationally, I know that San Francisco is remembering last year. I mean, look what they did to LMU. Like, coming off last year, losing to them, they were clearly angry. They blew them out of the water. St. Mary's is much, much better than LMU, but it's the same kind of matchup issue last year where they got taken advantage of inside. They had no size, and now they've added Tape, they've added Masalski. St. Mary's Kai 15th in the country in percentage of possessions that involve a post-up. So they clearly want to play through the inside. San Francisco is much better at defending that this year. I lean towards the Dons here. It's a little surprising because, Randy Bennett's a beast, but I kind of like the Dons. It's a little more of a gut thing for me, Kai.
Yeah, I think the spread's kind of dead on. Super important game, obviously, Matt, for the resume here. Both teams so far have missed out on beating BYU. Kind of a bellwether game. You need to, right. Todd Golden's 0-3 against St. Mary's, as far as I can tell, guys, looking back to the archives.
His alma mater, by the way, and former coach, right? Played for Randy Bennett.
That's right. This is his best team, though, by far. Masalski and Tape are so important. I agree. Great match for Toss. Don't have to don't have to send help and leave shooters. And Bouye, Matt, attacking Kuzi, Johnson, Gus, the ball handlers for St. Mary's. I think that's advantage USF. He's a nightmare defensively. But I will close with anytime you offer me points with St. Mary's, I kind of have to lean that way. They're just so well coached, so good. The heart wants the Dons. The number is making me stay away.
Heart versus brain dilemma. I'm kind of with you, Kai. The numbers come down, which, as Jim mentioned, makes me tempted to take the Dons, but just can't do it. All these WCC bouts between BYU, St. Mary's, and San Francisco, it's like three elite or approaching elite coaches. They all know what they are. They're going to be just deadlocked, tight games all the way through. So I'm curious how that round robin plays out throughout the year, as all three are, like I said, kind of on the cut line of making the at-large field. All right, chat mob time. Who's czar, Jim? Is that you?
I have it, and we have more than the alphabet of questions. We're up to
Good.
AA in the bullet points. There's 27, so we are definitely enforcing rapid fire mode. All right, Kai, we'll start with you. From Corp, does Marshall turn it around against Middle Tennessee State?
I tend to think no, Jim. I kind of lean them at 1.5. But why? I would wait till Marshall does turn it around before you try to guess when they do.
Yeah, you've missed value at this point. Don't force it.
Yeah, they're struggling. All right, Matt. Also, actually, two from the Tooch. Memphis.
Tooch.
They're hosting East Carolina. Potential revenge here after they lost at the buzzer at East Carolina. But no DeAndre Williams, no Landers Nolly. What do you think?
And for that reason, you can't take Memphis. I know the revenge is key. Home spot's key. I think they match up well with ECU. They basically just negate all of ECU's advantages. But with those guys out, you're not betting Memphis. That simple.
Tooch's other question was Texas A&M Corpus Christi at Southeast Louisiana. I kind of like the Islanders on the road. I've just been very impressed with what Steve Lutz has done there. Southeastern Louisiana has been shooting the ball like crazy recently, ever since that like pre-conference tournament. But I think it comes back down to earth. I like the Islanders. All right, Kai, we got a rematch in the Valley. Loyola Chicago headed to Southern Illinois. This one's from Eric Braun. He said his best bet was Loyola Chicago.
Ooh.
Do you agree?
Not really, actually. I kind of lean towards Southern Illinois.
You just confirmed his suspicions then. He feels even better.
Spread's low, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping for 6 or 7 here. It's 5. I think Carbondale punches back here a little bit, Jim.
Yep. I think 3 of the last 4 between these two have gone under, which makes a ton of sense. Mullen's very familiar with Loyola's strategy and the staff there as a former assistant. Matt, from Pound It Live, Long Beach State, one of your darlings, headed to UC Riverside, the Magpies, Mike Magpio. What do you think?
The Beach has been awesome. Really impressed with that roster and what they've amassed so far in Big West play. The number's pretty sharp, though. No strong lean for me. I just don't trust Riverside as a favorite of anything more than like 5 points in general. So I would not lay points. If anything, you got to go with Beach, Jim. If you need action, go Beach. Head to the Beach.
All right, from Hugh J, a.k.a. Huge Erection, Kai. Delaware at Towson, another rematch. We just saw Towson top Delaware. Do you agree with the market that has punched back and taken the Blue Hens here?
Yeah, I do agree with the market. 4.5 is too low, but I liked it at the opener. 6.5, 6. Towson's awesome, but Delaware's no slouch, Jim.
Yeah, I kind of like the under. It's been bet down some, but I think that familiarity will breed a slower game.
Like Delaware a lot. Just want to add that. I like Delaware a lot here.
Matt from Ray Reyes in CUSA. UTEP has kind of stunk. Our miners are not mining.
They're terrible.
They're hosting Florida Atlantic. Do you trust them today?
No, tough travel spot for FIU, but I probably should be taking the miners. I just have not been impressed. That roster is not what Joe Golding needs. And it's sort of a patchwork group of dudes, and it just hasn't fit this year. So not
blowing out mega shorthanded UTSA either time. Like
right.
Unforgivable.
Tough.
And
really UTSA bad. Got healthier, I think, today. That will a different match. We'll talk about that later, I think. Sorry. Disregard.
Yeah, it's certainly in the questions. From Graham Haynes, Kai, Oral Bob at Omaha. Big old number that's been bet up to like 164 total wise, and Oral Bob laying like 14 or 15 on the road. Man, it's hard to see this not being a shootout, I guess.
Yeah, I don't see how Oral Roberts doesn't score 90. So I guess I lean towards the over in that sense. Can Omaha get to 70? Yeah, I think so. I lean towards the over, even though it's
107 to 62 first meeting, 86 possessions.
Yeah, it's going to
absolute crazy game. A. Smith is going to be aiming for 40 again. Just padding those individual stats. All right, Matt, back to the CAA from Noah Haynes. Drexel at James Madison. I really like the side in this game. What do you have?
Love the Dukes. I think we all did, but the number's been smashed. So it's up to -4 now. And
sub 3,
Drexel,
this was my best bet today, but above 4, I'm pumping the brakes.
maybe go first half then.
I mean, I would still maybe take it at 4. It's just I can't go best bet on it.
Because Drexel will be without Okros today. They're kind of their stretchy wing floor spacer. He missed last game. He's hurt. They got Butler back, but I think they need him. Team's not very deep, and I think they need his shooting. So that also comes into play.
Yep. Multiple games I've watched Drexel. He's gone on like a little flurry himself, and that's kind of saved him. All right, Kai, to the A-Sun. Lipscomb and their pathetic defense headed to Jacksonville and their awesome defense. How do we see this one playing out?
It's come down a bit here, which I guess isn't too surprising. 3 points staying away. Jacksonville just appears to be a very, very well-coached team. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense why they're doing so well. It's coaching. It's coaching. So I lean towards Jacksonville. Yeah.
Mincy's good.
A two-pack from Ryan. We are holstering Ball State at Northern Illinois for the best bet section. Matt, Arkansas State at Appalachian State in the Sun Belt. What do you got?
Red Wolves, baby. They were almost my best bet. I would have preferred it at 4. I think it's painted at 3.5 right now. I think this could be the best team in the Sun Belt. They've been off a little bit, got a pretty good rest, good spot here. Yeah, I think they go in and knock off my Mountaineers, which I backed a lot early in the season. I think they're a little bit of a house of cards right now.
All right, let's do one more, Kai. We've got plenty of questions. We'll save some for later. From the Horizon, Youngstown, the Penguins are hosting Green Bay. I think you were leaning the dog. Am I crazy?
I'm leaning the dog. I'm leaning the Phoenix. Fight, Phoenix. Go, go, go. That's their fight song, Jim. I'm leaning towards Green Bay 6.5. Too many points. I fade Youngstown a lot, but I think it's done okay this year.
Yeah, Green Bay's been solid. Agree. Too many points.
Market's been all over Youngstown quite a bit this season. All right, Matt, let's go back to the outline. Couple of West Coast games here, and I will continue accumulating. I've got like 14 more, so don't worry, folks. Your question will get answered.
Yeah, we're going right back to the WCC. Apologies to Santa Clara, who I did not mention when we're talking about these other strong WCC schools, but I don't know if they're necessarily worthy of the BYU, San Francisco, St. Mary's trio there. But same Bay Area, and they've been really feisty. And they're hosting BYU here today. Spread open at about a field goal. I believe it stayed right around there. I don't really have any hot takes on this one, I'll be honest. It does feel a little bit short. But Santa Clara has been a lot better as of late, looking more like the team we saw early in the year, as opposed to the post-Badeko injury Brankage injury when they struggled throughout most of December. I don't know, Jim, any strong stances here, over, under, or sidewise?
Not a ton. I mean, BYU's been, like you said, really good against the St. Mary's and the San Franciscos of the world. But Santa Clara is a tough team to play this year. They execute offensively. They have size defensively with Bediako back in there. He can combat Traore and Loner inside. It's just, can they track Barcelo all over the court? Like, the fact that he can get a shot off in a moment's notice makes me a little concerned for Santa Clara's sometimes defensive lapses. Nothing really for me here, Kai. Unfortunately, this is a hard stay away.
Yeah, BYU, to their credit, hasn't really fallen off too much since losing Harward and Baxter. The St. Mary's and USF, those wins are impressive. Still a very good team, extremely well coached. We've talked about Pope a lot there. But Clara, Matt, to your point about missing them earlier, they've kind of fallen out of the buzz sphere after their hot start in the non-con. No one's really talking about them. They are a good team, I think. They've played so-so in the WCC so far. They just don't tend to play very well against top WCC competition. They haven't beaten BYU since 2017. BYU kind of owns them, kind of owns Herb Sendek. But Jim's right, the size is key. Santa Clara starts 6'7" and up besides PJ Pipes. That is a long team, very, very big, which could cause BYU some issues. Spread just feels a tad low to me. -3, probably lean towards the Cougars.
Yeah, BYU just continues to play well. I mean, Mark Pope, I think, is an amazing coach. He just doesn't get the recognition because he coaches in a league with a bunch of other amazing coaches.
Not for long, though. Well, I guess he'll still have a lot of coaches in the Big 12, a lot of good coaches in the Big 12.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the man. We love Pope. All right, let's keep going here. We're staying out west. How about a Big Sky showdown, making the outline? Probably showing some love to our mid-major brethren down there.
Are you surprised, guy who made the outline?
I guess I am. I'm trying to act like I'm we're shocking like my alter ego made the outline or something. Northern Colorado is hosting Weber State. We talked about Weber a lot in this program, Kai, a team that was impressive to start, then frustrating when they had to step up in competition. But now that they're back in their Big Sky sandbox, they've been fairly dominant. And I think the Big Sky is one of these leagues that has some really strong teams at the top, and they can pick off a lot of these meddling and low caliber squads. But Northern Colorado is right up there, man. They have basically Jeff Linder light and Steve Smiley there. They play data ball, threes, defend the three, space is king, shooting is king. That's what you're looking at with Northern Colorado. I think it's gonna be an awesome game. So just, without having any hot takes on side or total, just a fun game to watch if you can get on your tele.
Battle for first place in Big Sky. These teams are 1-2. Yeah, Northern Colorado beat Montana, Montana State, and Southern Utah. They've ran through the top teams in this conference. Weber's the only one left. They also lost Sacramento State at home by 14, which was kind of like a moment.
The most confusing result last month. Honestly, it makes no sense to me.
Kind of skewed my Sacramento State takes for a couple games there. That's tough. Don't overreact to one game. That's the lesson, folks. I love both coaches. Both teams like to run. Weber should pick apart this defense. Northern Colorado hasn't been great on that end, and Weber's been awesome offensively. On the other side, Weber has the athletes to defend Northern Colorado's super efficient, Linder-inspired analytical attack. So I'm kind of leaning towards Weber here, actually. The spread's not very big, Jim.
Yeah, Bassett's been solid for Weber the last couple of games, like actually emerging into what we were hoping he would be this season. And the one concern here, like numerically, I was leaning towards Weber State. I have them a slight favorite on the road, but they're coming off that Southern Utah game where they played out of their minds. Like they played awesome on the road, basically led by 10 almost the whole way, other than one little Southern Utah run late. It's tough to keep up that level of play over and over. Tough road here, elevation in Northern Colorado. So I'm staying away. If I had to play, it would be Weber on the number, but the situation backed me off a little bit.
Yeah, I actually have no call a slight favorite, so I probably should be adding. I see the markets push it up to Weber as a slight favorite at most shops.
Oh, I didn't realize it had flipped. How about that?
It had flipped, yeah. So, maybe a late best bet ad for Matthew. I'll let that marinate while we continue throughout the show. But Kai shakes his head. No, we shouldn't be shooting from the hip, given our current struggles. Probably a prudent approach. Let's carry on, shall we? Staying on the West Coast, we're going back to Pac-12 country. USC hosting Stanford. Jim, the tree travels down from NorCal to take on a USC team that we just saw pick and pull to shreds Arizona State in the second half, a game that I still cannot wrap my mind around how quickly a team blew a fairly convincing lead in the first half. Rants aside, what in this matchup stands out to you?
Well, we saw the first one. We watched like the whole first game, Kai. It was like a weird early tip standalone with USC heading to Stanford, no fans. Stanford took them down. It was a relatively surprising outcome. Stanford shot the ball well. I kind of like the under. It's again where both teams are huge, can take away the other strength scoring inside. You're obviously prone to both teams make threes. It's going to go over, but I still think the under is the right bet process wise, just because of the interior defense on both sides is so stout.
Yeah, Stanford won the first game because they got hot. 10 for 24 from three is just not what this team is. But to their credit, Matt, they kept USC off the glass. They allowed 4 offensive rebounds. That's impressive. And they have the size to do it. That's not a fluke. Yeah, USC got up by 7 in the first half. They got up by 4 late in the second half. I just think they got complacent. Stanford hit shots. USC didn't have a whole lot of urgency here. I think it's a bounce back for them. Double digits is high. That spread to me is borderline insane with the way USC's been playing lately. And with the way I think this game's playing out, I agree Jim's going to be a little bit lower paced. But I do think USC at least wins this game. And it's enough for me to stay back on Stanford.
My other note is that it had 71 possessions, Matt. So it seems like it played fast, but there were 53 free throws taken.
So many free throws.
Whistle after whistle after whistle after whistle. And sometimes that's what happens when there's no fans and the refs can hear every little bit of contact. So I don't think that happens again.
Yeah, I think number's too high. But you guys mentioned the revenge angle for USC and the fact that they swept the mountain trip, and then they did that to Arizona State. Now, I know Arizona State was down players. I know Utah is shorthanded. But still, I mean, there was plenty of landmines the last week or so for USC, and they have basically stepped over them confidently at each treacherous step. So you got to tip your cap to Mr. Enfield and what the Trojans are doing. I'm tempted to add Stanford here, but I won't. I'm definitely not tempted to add Arizona State anymore. That team is put on the bet list. They've been annexed. All right, last game. Staying in the Pac-12, Washington hosting Colorado. Hey, Kai, don't look now. The Huskies have been not terrible.
Decent.
Question mark?
Yeah. Not a dumpster fire. Not a dumpster fire. Matt.
Yeah, we're going to talk later today.
Yeah, we're going to talk Oregon.
They did, but Oregon did that to USC and UCLA. So I think we give a slight excuse to that. Colorado, a team that is much improved. The question is this new normal for Colorado for real, or was it just a fluky got hot during maybe a tough schedule spot for their opponents the last few weeks, we'll say. Couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm buying Colorado. I'm shocked they won at Oregon. That was crazy. This seems like a classic letdown spot for them, for Colorado. But Washington's not really a team you want to bet on in general. That first game, Colorado handled them easily. It won by 14. Washington was like 30% inside the arc. Just a total wall by the Buffs, who also grabbed majority of their offensive rebounds. So I think they probably dominate Washington from a matchup perspective. Spot-wise, lean Washington, Jim. But I'm not sure you're going to go broke fading Washington over the course of a year.
Yeah, I'm kind of liking Colorado a little bit. I think we've made a big deal about their backcourt being weak. And so having Parquet out was actually a really huge deal for them because they don't have a lot of depth. He missed that home trip against the LA schools, the homestand, and they lost both those games. And then he was back for the Oregon win. And I think he matters quite a bit just because the replacement value is pretty weak there. So I'm kind of leaning towards Colorado with the short spread here, Matthias. But like you said, Washington has been resurgent in league play. Perhaps they have a little bit of juice going forward. So backing off, but lean towards the Buffs.
Lean toward the Huskies. I can't believe it, but I do. I think at home, they're a different team. Not a great team, but a competent team, like so many other teams we've discussed. Just sometimes when you're not that great, you can really inflate your performance and play energized in front of your home crowd versus on the road. You just, if you get down, there's no response, no rebuttal to that. I think Washington's sort of in that camp where they are. In Colorado, we've talked about it. Everyone's talking about how good they are at home, but you can fade them on the road and usually have success, except of course when you back Oregon and they completely flounder in the second half. Again, we're not going to be petty and rant, Kyle. We're just going to, we're going to talk the games and break down the matchups for you. Speaking of, let's keep doing it, Jim. Rapid fire, round 2 chat mob inquiries. We're ready.
Yeah, let's get to it. I will also mention that Washington lost at home to Northern Illinois, Winthrop, Utah Valley, and Wyoming. So 3 buy games totaling $300,000, by the way. I did the math this morning. They're not elite at home, but yeah, so many chat mob questions. Holy cow. All right. Starting with from Ryan Necker, Gardner Webb at UNC Asheville. I kind of like the running Bulldogs. I've liked them all year, but Asheville's been resurgent recently. So he was leaning towards Asheville. Perhaps you have the right side. Kai, out in the West Coast from Larry Gibson, Pepperdine at San Diego. Toreros have been kind of feisty, and Pepperdine has been bad in league play. Like bad without Keith Fisher too.
Yep. Keith Fisher is a key player for them. A Keith player for them. 7.5 feels a bit high against a team like San Diego, but they just took Santa Clara to overtime. Maybe they got a little pep in their step, Jim. I would fully stay away.
Okay. To be clear, there are like 24 questions here. So
for the entire slate, Jim.
Yeah, basically every question's been asked. Matt, Mount St. Mary's at Fairleigh Dickinson from the NEC. Mount's been rolling.
Yeah, I mean, like if this is a huge disparity up front. Like the Mount has I call them the what are those things from the Mario game? The bricks, the
bricks,
the
blocks?
Evil things. I'll look it up.
Goombas, like.
Not the Goombas, no, but they basically have like 3 of those dudes, and Fairleigh Dickinson has no size. I think it's a complete bloodbath in the paint, Gym. That's all I'll say. I'll look up what those things are called in the meantime.
Yeah, Mount St. Mary is also hitting 43% in conference play. Perhaps they trend back down. But
like Womp Womps or something?
Womp Womps, yes. Yeah. That's what Mount St. Mary's has. Like 3 of those dudes up front, and then like Fairleigh Dickinson has no resistance to that. That's what
Malik Jefferson, one of those Womp Womps, missed last game. So
very good
note there.
That's okay. So only 2 Womp Womps today. 2 versus 0 essentially for FDU.
All right. From Ray Paez, a 2-pack in the A-Sun. Kai, you get Jacksonville State at Kennesaw State. The Owls have been surging lately.
I'll tell you what, man, I lean towards Jacksonville State. They're undefeated in the A-Sun, and they've been awesome, but so is Kennesaw. Chris Youngblood is the guy you got to look for on Kennesaw's roster. I don't think he played last game. He's a key piece for them. So if he's out, love Jacksonville State. If he's in, kind of just like Jacksonville State.
Matt, Bellarmine Stetson. I kind of like the road team here. Am I crazy?
I like Bellarmine here because Scott Davenport, and for those who haven't been tracking, is rumored to be linked to the Louisville job. I got to think every game he coaches for like the next couple of weeks or next week is going to be put under a magnifying glass. I would lean Bellarmine just from that stupid little angle.
Yeah, Stetson also probably without Rob Perry with his eligibility issues. He matters a lot for them. Without him, they're a worse team. Matt, back to you for the OVC. Murray State, the Racers have been dominant. They're headed to Tennessee Tech. Another one of those inferior, lower tier OVC teams. Is this another blowout?
Yeah, just blew them out on Monday. This is the back-to-back, quasi leg 2 of the back-to-back, as we call it. I like the over, to be honest. My only concern, though, is that I think John Petway may have gotten hurt last game for Tennessee Tech. Make sure you check the roster. I know his minute counts was way down. I have not done my due diligence, so apologize for lack of show prep, but he's a key piece for Tennessee Tech.
Kai, a team that has actually, you know what? 2 teams that have driven us up the wall in the Sun Belt, Georgia State and Louisiana, the Cajuns. Georgia State just has been bad.
Best bet section.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. I didn't realize that. You're right. All right. Matt Winnick has 2 questions here on totals. Matthias, Morehead State and Southeast Missouri State, and Rice at Louisiana Tech. So I'm going to let you choose your poison, and Kai, you get the other one.
I'll start with Morehead Southeast Missouri State. I had SEMO as an auto over team, one of my few. But Morehead just completely sucks the juice out of most offenses, both pace and efficiency alike. So I didn't take it. But in general, I think SEMA overs are pretty good. They just can't defend, and they have some legit shot makers, shooters this year.
Jim, what was the other game? Remind me.
Rice and Louisiana Tech.
Jim, I got nothing in Rice, Louisiana Tech. I guess I'm leaning towards Rice at 10.5. Seems a bit high to me. Lean the over as well. I think there's a lot of points in this game.
I lean towards the over, and he was asking about total. So good. Glad you had an opinion there.
Good. Okay.
From Ed Redmond, Matthias, Milwaukee headed to Bob Morris. We assume no Patrick Baldwin Jr. Possibly no Cam Ferris for Robert Morris, their best shooter. What do you think?
Yeah, Robert Morris is I saw Brandon Stone, the former LaSalle transfer, is randomly playing a lot and playing good. You can tell Tool is in the craft. My roster's been gutted. I don't know who's good, but he's kind of mixing and matching, and they've found their level. They're not as terrible as we thought. Still, Milwaukee is certainly no team I want to trust on the road, whether Baldwin plays or not. So this is the biggest stay away on the board for me.
Yeah, I can't trust either team. All right, Kai, we mentioned UTSA earlier and the fact that they're a little healthier. Now they're hosting FIU, but this line has been hammered to FIU from +2 to -2.5. Is that correct movement?
Yes, it is. I liked FIU as a dog. I thought UTSA was getting a little bit too much respect there. But, Jim, I'm not taking FIU. UTSA held strong against UTEP without those guys. Now they're back. It's kind of a
going to Texas
for me.
Yeah. So FIU beat Marshall and Western Kentucky over the weekend, 2 broken-ish teams. So good results, but maybe not as good result.
Yeah. So. UTSA. I'm curious how this works for UTSA because they rallied with their really shorthanded crew, and now they add in Dieng, who was going to go pro, and Ivy Curry, who was in COVID protocols. Do they have the same kind of chemistry?
And maybe it hurts them.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards FIU. 2-pack from Ryan Abramowitz. Matthias, out on the West Coast, Cal Poly at UC San Diego. You have loved your Poly boys.
No, that was up until last week. I officially announced my resignation from the Cal Poly bandwagon. Was very unimpressed with their interior defense. This is a big spread. I'll be honest. I like UC San Diego. I like Eric Owen, but this is a big spread. I'd stay away. Sorry for the lame response. Stay away.
Kai, you get an NEC one from Ryan. Well, LIU at Central Connecticut. I kind of think LIU's been rolling. They've figured out how to dominate teams with that front court in that league. Am I crazy?
No, I lean their way as well, Jim. Flowers is awesome. He's unstoppable. Guy has 30 and 15 every game. He's nuts.
Yeah.
Been around for forever.
I think last game, their big 3 front court guys combined for 60 points and 33 rebounds or something. It's just you can't stop that front court. In the Sun Belt, Matt, Troy at South Alabama. Troy, a team we've really struggled to figure out just because their lineup has been so erratic.
Boy, am I glad the odds makers hung this one high. I was probably going to take South Alabama, but have been pretty sick of fading Troy, and Scott Cross continues to defy logic with the roster he has there and all the guys that are in and out of the lineup. Duke Miles, whenever he plays, it's the ultimate whack-a-mole dude. So nothing, Jim. I think I lean USA still, though, even at 6.5. I think they're going to start to go on a little bit of a run here with all their hands on deck. Get that Turbo Jones back 2 games ago. So Richie Riley with depth and talent could be a scary combination.
Yep. All right. We still have 12. So really rapid fire now. From Jess Whalen, Kai, William and Mary at Elon.
I lean towards William and Mary. They've been feisty.
Agreed.
Agree.
Same conference. Matthias, does Northeastern get their first win? Brandon Gilden is curious. They're headed to UNC Wilmington.
Ultimate buy low so high, but I don't really want to buy low on the team that has been non-competitive recently. So stay away from me. I guess anything, maybe you take Northeastern, but I don't.
Yeah,
can't trust
one of those rematches where they just played, but
that's right. Yes. Yep.
Wilmington's so much better right now. Kai, in another, you're just getting a lot of NEC. I'm sorry, but from JA, right. Merrimack headed to Bryant. Does Bryant keep on this torrid roll that they're on right now?
Yeah, I kind of lean their way. I also like the over in this game. I think they're just going to score, baby.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, the zone seems like Bryant's like, sure, give us a zone, whatever.
We'll just shoot. We'll just train threes. Yeah.
And Bryant is trending up tempo wise too after some non-con slowdowns. That was weird.
Yeah.
Matt, your Island boys from the Paris asking about the get right game at the end of the night, hosting Cal State Northridge, who's been really bad lately. Does Hawaii blow them out?
Go Bows, baby. Bows. Yep, locked it in. I mean, I'd lay it up to 15. I think they smack Northridge. Wow. Especially if the EC's out, this is going to be like 20 offensive rebounds. That's just like De Silva lay up.
Bean came back for Northridge last game, but no AEC and no Herrick also. Like they can't get right, and they have nothing inside without AEC. Okay, Kai from Matt Winnick, Central Arkansas headed to North Florida. Very high total here. But North Florida's had some roster questions with Placer and Hendrickson in and out of the lineup.
And Central Arkansas has been okay this year, kind of feisty, which is just strange. I lean their way with the points.
Yeah. Okay, Matt from Jeff Spector, elite name, should be like a secret agent.
I like
Texas
that
State
Love
at
that.
UT Arlington, battle in the Sun Belt in Texas. Arlington has been frustrating. Texas State usually runs this conference with their slow tempo. What do you got?
Big key is Caleb Asbury. I saw in the San Marcos paper he may not play. He's like a really underrated two-way player for Texas State. That said, Jim, I can't back UTA. They could not beat a team playing 3 student managers in triple overtime. So why should I trust that team against a good team?
That's not an exaggeration. They had 2 student managers on the floor, and one of them had like a key steal and a key corner 3.
Like, buried a 3, right. Just dagger in our hearts.
Yep, and
kind of sums it up.
Driving layup too is nuts. From Matt Akers, Idaho State, who is pitiful, headed to Sacramento State. Kai, to the Monarchs. It's not the Monarchs.
The
Hornets.
The Hornets.
Get it done here.
Jeez, 7 points is so big, but Idaho State's been just like so pathetic. I don't get it, Jim. I do not understand. They should be competitive in this league this year, and they're not. So I'm staying away.
Idaho, okay. Idaho State, terrible. Idaho, okay.
Awful.
Idaho State, terrible.
Awful.
Monarchs were a WNBA team. That's why I had that in my head.
They are.
It's like the Kings, the equivalent to the Kings. All right. Fondell asks about North Texas at Southern Miss. Matthias, North Texas has strangled every team in the CUSA, save for the top ones. Do they do the same thing here?
I believe this is a wait, no, sorry, not a rematch. Oh, it's a sandwich spot for North Texas. That's why I've written down. They go to Louisiana Tech on Saturday, and Southern Miss does get a key guy back to Isaiah Moore up front. I actually lean the Eagles as bad as they've been this year.
Yeah, I kind of lean. I think North Texas just is
amazing.
Those
also possible. Also possible.
From Kay Ingram, Tennessee State at SIU Edwardsville. I sort of leaned Tennessee State on the number here, and it made me nauseous because that team is infuriating. SIU's probably been better than I have given them credit for in my numbers, so can't really recommend that one. All right, and finally we get to a question that's been asked about a ton. Matt, I'm giving it to you because it's from your boy Dom the Don and several others. Cal at UCLA, letdown spot for UCLA. They just took down Arizona this week, played basically a perfect game against them. Now they're hosting Cal, who I think is a feisty dog. What do you got?
Yeah, they are. I lean Cal as well. Cal played UCLA pretty well in that first meeting. I like the under more, though. I think UCLA's number total components are a little bit inflated from some of those non-con games we've discussed. I think UCLA unders in general will be a pretty good bet throughout conference play, especially against potentially close opponents, competitive opponents.
Yep. Yeah, I think 16 is too big in that spot. Kai, out west, UC Davis headed to Fullerton. This one from Corp. Fullerton has been rolling. What do you got here? Is that the right site? I might actually have the.
It's at Davis. It's at Davis. Yep.
Yeah, it's at Davis. Yep.
Total toss up here. I would have totally taken Davis preseason, but Fullerton's been arguably the best team in that league. So I'm staying away.
Yeah. NSCK
under
has been incredible.
Under.
All right. 3 more. Matt, Pacific at Portland. Anything?
Number likes Pacific, but oh boy, do I like me some Pilots. So I said, hey, number, take a hike. Didn't bet it. Was going to bet Pacific to clarify, but did not because I like Mr. Legans and what they're doing out there in the Pac Northwest too much.
Yeah, I just trust the Portland team more, and my number was kind of leaning the other way. No thanks.
And Moses Wood came back last game too. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. From Ryan Abramowitz, Little Rock headed to Coastal Carolina. From Ryan himself, we have that Marich is going to play a little bit in this one. Is that enough for you to back the Trojans?
Nope. but I don't want to fade them either because they're weird and I can't figure them out. Lukic, I don't think is playing still. He's important. They're still probably going to play a manager.
And they're good. They have good managers. They have great managers on the
best
roster.
Managers in the country on Little Rock. Yes.
Yeah, feels a little let downy. I think Coastal could crush them, but I didn't wager on it. I think I might have a little something on the under. I have to double check that. All right, last one from Andrew Can. Hofstra at Charleston in the CAA. Either of you want this question?
No.
Hi.
I don't have a side in this one. Nope.
I like the pride. It's Charleston's 4th game in 7 days, and Cooks came back last game for Hofstra. I think it feels a little bit light. As good as Charleston's played, as much as we like Pat Kells, I think the spread's a little short.
Hofstra fans also excited about Simmons playing the Penn transfer.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
They're a lot closer to full strength. Basically are full strength at this point besides Kramer. So, little lean towards Hofstra there. All right, that wraps it up. Other than best bets, Kai, I almost stepped on yours earlier. I apologize. Tell the people what you got.
Well, Jim, it went back up. So I had a pretty good number pre-show. I'm glad it went back up because I got a worse number. Georgia State, Louisiana over 143 now at BetRivers is my best bet. Georgia State cannot shoot this poorly all season, guys. It's not possible. Like they're literally, I think, dead last in 2 and 3-point percentage in the Sun Belt. They have good players. And Rob Lanier had some promising things to say after a recent game. I think they started hitting, playing to their potential a little bit. Louisiana can score as well. Last year, this game went 77 possessions, had 157 points in 2020, had 74 and 70 possessions, 142 and 158 points. I think the over is the play here. Georgia State, Louisiana, 143.
Yeah, potentially no Jordan Brown for the Cajuns, one of their big guys.
Should help.
Maybe that helps. Yep. All right, Matthias.
I got 2 because when you're cold, you just keep firing until you get out of it, right? Shoot or shoot. So I'm taking a 2 for today. We're starting out west. I'm taking Cal State Bakersfield, shake and bake +10. They're going to UC Irvine, not a long travel. They're playing Russell Turner, one of my favorite coaches in college basketball, but he has talked at length about how he does not like this team. I think he misses that interior presence. And Bakersfield, if you look back at their last few games, haven't been as awful as I initially thought. They also got rid of Sean Williams, their sort of enigma point guard, and they've been a lot better without him. So I think it's sort of addition by subtraction. Ewing theory. Hypothesis with the Bakersfield competitiveness lately. Take shake and bake up to 9. I'd say 9 or above is probably a good price. Second one, fellas, going back to the Bison well, North Dakota State headed to South Dakota, who has been shockingly good despite being down one of their best players, Xavier Fuller. Similar to the take that I had with North Dakota State against Oral Roberts last game, just a dumb spread. Like this is the favorite in the conference, in my opinion. At least one of the 3. Okay. You'd probably say South Dakota State's up there now, but they're in that upper echelon. And South Dakota is just fine to me. I can't believe that you're actually getting points. Well, I guess now it's bet up to -2, but the fact that it's right around
1.5 though, Matt.
Beautiful.
1.5.
I was going to say anything up to -2 is a good bet. So yeah, take the Bison on the road. They also got Grant Nelson back last game.
Fantastic.
Yep. The one thing that spooked me there is that they play South Dakota State on Saturday. So
could be trappy. Yeah.
Don't look ahead. Don't look ahead, North Dakota State. You're too veteran to do that.
Also, Matt, we are honest. Bakersfield is 9.5 at BetRivers, so we will take.
That's fine. That's fine. 9 or 2 are the 2 strikes for both those bets.
All right. And my best bet for the day is Ball State on the road.
Yes.
-2.5 headed to Northern Illinois. Ball State has been better than early in the season. Lately, they have been a lot more feisty. Peyton Sparks, the young big man, has really stabilized them inside. I just think Northern Illinois is not good. They got down 28 at Ohio and had some garbage 15-0 run to come back and cover that game. That final score is incredibly misleading for Ohio, Northern Illinois. I don't think they're very good. I am on Ball State -2.5. It's my best bet.
Love it. Yeah, I hope people watch Ball State, and I want you guys to come back with your thoughts. Like, you should see what I say. This team's pretty good, despite their 8-10 record in 247.
Cue them losing by 20 on the road. And like,
I know. Sorry.
Maybe they're not good.
Hey, let's get right today, gents. And folks who joined us today, like, subscribe. We appreciate you. Come back, not tomorrow, but Saturday. We are off tomorrow. Get our heads right for the massive Saturday card. That'll be airing at 10:15 Central, 10:30 Central, 10:15 Central. That's right. It's 10:15 Central. So come back and join us. Until that time, good luck on your bets and